In this video, I'm going to be analysing gold and USDJPY and how you can also capitalise on some of the potential moves going into this week. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So as mentioned, I'm going to be analysing gold and USDJPY as I see two potential very clean setups on these pairs going into the week. So if we get started with USDJPY and then we'll move over to gold afterwards. So starting on the daily, you can see that USDJPY has been in this uptrend for a long time now. So going into this week, the idea behind the trade will be to continue this uptrend and looking to target one of these levels up here. So first of all, we obviously have around the 150 level where we have some daily liquidity. And then obviously as well, we have the 152 level, which is also the all-time highs, I believe. So they would be sort of the overall long-term targets for this pair. Going down to the lower time frames then, if we just map out the current structure. So we've had mitigation of this sort of area of demand. We swept the liquidity from these early buyers. And then after we did that, we came up, broke the structure, forming our breaker structure. Last week, price pulled back, took out the last bit of liquidity within the range, so between the low and the high. So if we mark that on, we have a sweep of this liquidity. And then price moved over to the upside once again, taking out the next high. So that is another breaker structure. And that basically means that if we're looking for buys, we want to be looking between this low and this high. That is our trading range for the week. Because if price were to break this low, we would consider that a shift in structure from bullish to bearish, and then we'd be looking for sells. So one thing that I'm interested in price doing going into the week is if we can go from where we are now and break this sort of mini structure here, I'll be waiting for a pullback and then looking for buys. And the reason I want that to happen is because we have this very nice 4-hour level of demand, which you can see was imbalanced. And the reason I want price to break this high first is because if it does that, we have this inducement just above it. So we've generated some liquidity. If price does not generate liquidity above this area, we could also see it come instead to this 2-hour level, which swept these two equal lows last week. So basically I'm looking at these two scenarios. If price goes from where it is now, breaks this current sort of mini high, and then I'll be looking for a pullback into this previous level of demand for then confirmations on the lower time frame to look for buys up to like I mentioned before, the 150 and 152 key levels. If price does not manage to break this high and we continue this pullback, I'll be looking for price to take this area as liquidity, tap into that area of demand below at around 147.3, where we will then look for the same lower time frame confirmation to buy back up. So as for the targets, if we go left, the first target that I have for this trade will be this area. As you can see, this was a major area of liquidity where people were previously selling from, and this level also induced this 4-hour level of supply. This would be the second target because we could see price retrace or reverse from this level. Given how bullish it is moving at the moment though, I would expect that this level will be taken out and price will go above 152. But just to be a bit more conservative, I would target one of these two levels, as we could always see a reversal at these 2 points once price has taken out previous liquidity. But yeah, UJ going into this week is quite an easy read. Obviously, we are still bullish and price has no reason to reverse from where it currently is, as it has not taken out enough liquidity. So we will simply wait and be patient for a pullback into one of these two levels. for then buys up to this 150 sort of level. Okay, so if we move over to gold now, and we will start on the daily. So gold on the daily time frame, we are still technically bearish. We've had a liquidation of these previous sellers with this wick here. We then came down, took out the daily low, forming a break of structure. And what we have done now is we have pulled back into this 4-hour level of supply, which was at a premium of the current daily leg. We wicked out the early sellers below that level, and now we have shifted back bearish. So what we are anticipating, and what there is a high probability of happening, is that now price has come up and mitigated this area. We are expecting that this high here forms a lower high, and therefore we are looking for a price to create a lower low by breaking this 1885 low on the daily time frame. And that would be highly probable because we are in this daily downtrend. So the most likely thing that happens is that this trend continues. Obviously, we could also see it break the trend, but that's less likely to happen. So if we're looking at this local trend just here, and we will follow the most recent price action. So we've had a sweep of these early sellers. We then had our initial change of character when price took out this low. Since we went from printing higher lows and higher highs, shifted over to the downside, printing lower lows and lower highs like we did here. We then had price pulls back, mitigates this area of supply, break structure just there. And this was really like one moves to the downside. Price then pulls back, sweeps this liquidity, and then breaks structure again. Just there. And what I can see now is that price has basically generated a lot of liquidity within this region. You can see we've got like 3 or 4 taps of this level. So what I'm looking at going into this week is for price to liquidate these sellers and then shift over onto the downside to target first of all 1900 and then this previous low. So one potential level where we could see that happening is this 4-hour level of supply just up here at around 1935. But since we do have this liquidity up here, I think we can also get some counter trend buys back up to this previous level. So if we analyze the lower time frames, what we've had is once this low was swept, we had the 1-hour time frame broke this structure here. So we had lower low, lower high, lower low. Price then broke out of that downtrend structure and is now technically bullish within this like internal trend. So what I'll be looking for is for price to retrace into this area of demand at around 1920, taking out this low as inducement. You can see when price made this low, we simply came into this imbalance and didn't really react from anything. So I'm seeing this as an inducement for price to come lower into a previous level of demand. And then we can look for buys up to target this previous liquidity. And then we can look for our sell positions once price reaches that 4-hour level of supply, if we get those entry confirmations. So to summarize that, we can draw that on. So I'll be looking for something like this. This level will obviously be confirmation based because it is counter trend. And then we can look for buys to target this previous liquidity into supply. And then we look for that entry confirmation once again to sell back down to 1885 and also the 1900 psychological level. But yeah, that is all I'm seeing on gold at the moment. So yeah, I hope you guys found this video useful. Hopefully you can use it to capitalize on some of these moves that either UJ or gold makes during the week. And yeah, I wish you guys all the best week, and I will see you in the next video.